am Rajeshwari, pursuing Family third year. I feel it my pleasure to introduce Rao V.S. Vadlamudi Garu, President Commonwealth Pharmacist Association and Professional Secretary, CEO Pharm Forum. Rao Vadlamudi Garu pursued his B.Pharm in 1973 and M.Pharm in 1976 in Andhra University, Visakhapatnam. He completed his MSc and PhD in Pharmacology and Toxicology from the University of British Columbia, Vancouver, BC, Canada. In 1984, Rao Vadlamudi sir started his career at UDCT, Matunga, Mumbai, and during a career spanning 37 years, he worked in academia as well as in the pharma industry in various capacities. Academic positions held by Dr. Vadlamudi sir include Reader in Pharmacology, UDCT, Professor in Pharmacology, Bombay College of Pharmacy, first ever Director of BCP, Director of St. Peter Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Warangal, and many more. His industry career began in 1990 in the Horchet Research Center as head pharmacology. He was head pharmacology in Piramal Research Center, VP, Discovery Biology in Suvan Life Sciences, etc. He was the editor of Indian Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences, the official scientific publication of the Indian Pharmaceutical Association (IPA) from 1996 to 2014. He served as the president of Indian Pharmaceutical Association for two terms, 2014 to 16 and 2016 to 18. And during this period, he was a member of the Technical Advisory Board of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. Currently, he is the president of the Commonwealth Pharmacist Association (CPA), being re-elected for the term 2020 to 2022. A member of governing body of Life Science Sector Skill Development Council of India. He is also the professional secretary of SEA Pharm Forum, an FIP forum of all the national pharmaceutical associations of Southeast Asian region countries. He received the fellowship of Indian Pharmaceutical Association in 2000, the Dr. B. N. Ghosh Memorial Oration Award of the Indian Pharmacological Society in 2005, the Professor M. L. Khorana Memorial Lecture Award of IPA in 2009, the Eminent Pharmacist Award of IPA in 2013, the IPA President Special Oration Award in 2014, the Fellowship of Association of Biotechnology in Pharmacy in December 2014, and Acharya P.C. Ray Gold Medal Award in November 2019. Thank you, sir, for giving this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Rajeshwari, for introducing me to this wonderful audience. Thank you all, particularly all students from all across the country. I see several colleges, some of the colleges I know, some of the colleges I have been associated with, some of the colleges I have attended or I visited. Particularly on a Sunday afternoon, just to participate, to listen to me, it indeed gives me a very good feeling. And I would also thank and express my sense of gratitude to Karthik. I met Karthik a few years ago with several ideas in his mind that he needs to do something. Probably that has resulted in the journey that he is undertaking now. And I think he's doing a lot of good, particularly in motivating youngsters, particularly to play a significant role in pharmacy profession. I would take about an hour or so talking about my professional journey. First of all, I must tell you that I'm really very, very happy and grateful to the opportunities that I got, particularly in pharmaceutical sciences. The time I joined pharmacy, way back in 1969, my story is the same as many of you, because You came into pharmacy because you didn't get something else. But I keep hearing that from several people, and I am no different. Tried to get into medicine, and since I didn't, I joined pharmacy. But the person who motivated me to get into pharmacy is my father, because he was a professor of pharmacy in Andhra University. So the choice of coming into pharmacy was very easy for me, because he made the choice for me. If I don't get medicine, admission into medicine, because there are only a handful of seats, and there's a large competition. So in the beginning, I have no clue what pharmacy was all about. Then it's always a question that is there in the mind of youngsters, saying that if I study this course, or if I do this specialization, what is the scope and what are my chances? What is the scope? What are my chances? This is the question people keep on asking. In my professional life of more than 35, 40 years, most of the students ask the same question. But to be honest with you, people, I didn't ask that question to myself. If I join pharmacy, what would be the scope and what would be my future? I said, let me take first B Pharm to see what it is all about. And while studying B Pharm, I started liking few subjects, particularly pharmaceutical chemistry. It all depends upon your interest and the mentor or the teacher that is teaching you. It's not that a subject is very important and the other subject is not so important, because students do have this tendency of attaching this is important, this is not important, this is important, this is not important, which is not really correct. Everything has its own place, has its own importance. It depends on whether you are seeing that from that perspective or not. So I liked pharmaceutical chemistry. So I did my master's in pharmaceutical chemistry. At the end of pharmaceutical chemistry master's, what am I supposed to do? Well, I haven't had any great thoughts of what would be my future or what is my career. I'm kind of taking a day at a time, enjoying my work, at the same time enjoying student life. Then suddenly all my classmates, they said, we are going and applying for immigration in Chennai, in the US consulate. Do you join us? I went to my father, because he is a professor of pharmacy and he's my father, he's the head of the department. So without his consent, I can't do anything. So I said, do I go along with my classmates to apply for immigration to United States? Not that I knew at that time what is meant by immigration and what is meant by United States. It's just like everybody is doing, so I want to do it. And many students are in that phase, right? If other people are doing, you want to do it. If other people say that it is not good, then you consider that it is not good. So that means it's not your opinion, but you are imbibing and actually making somebody else's opinion as your opinion, whether you like it or not, whether you really agree with it or not. Is a point one. Please remember that. You know what my father told me? Well, you can go abroad, but to do a PhD, not for getting, immigration. So in my class of 25, there are 22 people who immigrated to United States, and I did not. The 3 or 4 people who stayed back. But then I got an opportunity to study further in the University of British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada. That's the only university I applied. That's the only university that there was a letter saying that please suggest one of your students to apply because we have an opening. And this letter came because An earlier student from Andhra University did extremely well in grad studies in the faculty of pharmaceutical sciences. So the faculty wanted another student from Andhra University. And luckily, I was given that opportunity because I was holding first rank at that time and I was given that opportunity. So I went abroad. But then I didn't do pharmaceutical chemistry. I wanted to do pharmacology. The reason is while studying pharmaceutical chemistry, whether it is natural products or synthetic chemistry, everything is dependent upon the molecule and its activity. And and monitoring that activity, understanding that activity is the field of pharmacology. So those days in chemistry, we were only referring to, oh, this compound is a cardiotonic. I had no clue what that cardiotonic means, or this compound is used as an antiarrhythmic. So you look at the synthesis, you look at the structure, and then they say it is antiarrhythmic. And you memorize that antiarrhythmic, but you did not really know how exactly this molecule can be antiarrhythmic. First of all, what is arrhythmias and how an antiarrhythmic acts? You may know that in B Pharm, I did pharmacology, but my passion was in chemistry, so I didn't pay attention to pharmacology to a great extent. Then I decided to do PhD in pharmacology, but in Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences. That's how I did my master's and PhD in University of British Columbia in cardiovascular pharmacology. That's exactly the actual understanding of what I'm studying, and am I making, connecting the dots? Am I understanding? So am I building a capability? Do I have a core competence to claim that I am a PhD in pharmacology, or I'm a PhD in pharmacology, in cardiovascular pharmacology, and I worked in a particular area? So these questions started coming up in my mind, which allowed me to look at myself and introspect and see that, do I really know this to claim that I am working in this particular area? Do I know this adequate enough to say that I'm an expert in this particular area of research? These questions or self-doubt started coming. Honestly speaking, I would like to encourage all the young professionals to think about your knowledge, to question your knowledge, to say whether confidently say that, yes, I know, and this I understand. And when you know and when you understand, you can explain it to others. A professional's importance is when you can convince and convincingly explain and transmit your knowledge to the other person. Whoever the other person may be, he may be a professional like you, he may be a healthcare professional like you, or he may be a technically competent person, or he may be a lay person. But would you be able to tell that? These thoughts started coming up during my PhD. Interestingly, my professor, Dr. John McNeil, he is 82 years old and he is still alive, and he is in Vancouver, retired or about to retire, and I keep going to Vancouver. And for that matter, last year I had spent 2 wonderful days with him, sitting in the university by sun and then talking about several things. During my PhD, he asked me, "Hey, Rao, I have you know, I have a project for you. If you don't have anything else to work on, for your PhD, would you be interested in probing cardiac complications in experimental diabetes?" And this particular area was not worked in our laboratory earlier. That laboratory was working on something else. So he suggested to me would I like to do this new project, or would I have my eyes set on something already going on in the lab so that I can pursue that line? He's open to that. But if I ask him, he has this project suggestion. I told him I would like to start the diabetes work in the lab because I want to do something different. I don't want to just follow somebody who has already established experiments, established methodologies, established nice results, and put their name on those already. So if I'm following that, then I'm following in the footsteps of others, and that may not give me an opportunity to set or etch my name on something else. So this is what is necessary for entrepreneurs. I'm not an entrepreneur, but the zeal to start something on your own and develop it, although there is a lot of risk. you know if you're starting a new project in your laboratory and if no senior has worked on it, then you have to struggle to set it up and there's nobody to guide you. Okay, that's the risk. But if you successfully do it, then everybody says that, hey, he has done it. And so whoever follows you will see that, it is Rao's method. He has done it already, something like that. Entrepreneurs are exactly the same thing. They start their own company, taking the risk, and when it is successful, we talk about it. Oh, he set up that company. But every one of us are not really having guts enough or an attitude to take risk uh, to initiate something by ourselves. But I thank my stars because that day I did that. And he gave me the opportunity to set up this area of work in the laboratory. So I started from the scratch, developing diabetic animal models and developing the cardiac methodologies to evaluate cardiac function. So successfully completed the project after 4 years of research, published half a dozen papers in very good journals, and probably in some areas, one of the first papers to be published. What I'm really proud of about that is John McNeil's lab worked on diabetes ever since. I started that in 1979. And ever since, his lab continued to work for the next 40 years until 2 years back. John has officially closed his laboratory. And until that time, he worked in areas of diabetes only. So today I can claim that I set up the work and then he carried on, and he acknowledges that. You know, this is a matter of being, you know, pride. I can look at that and say that, hey, I did that. It gives tremendous satisfaction. In fact, I would tell you, John's received the highest honor a citizen would get in Canada. It is equivalent to, um, the British um, Order of the British Empire. It is like Order of the Canadian Parliament. I think it's called MP, not Member of Parliament. But last year he received it, and in the citation, apart from various things, John McNeil received this award for his pioneering work in the area of diabetes, unraveling the link between diabetes and cardiac complications. This is there in the citation. And I'm immensely happy about it because that diabetes work was initiated by me in his laboratory in 1979. So there is something that I have done and I am proud of. you know Subsequently, I have not worked on diabetes. Let me tell you, after coming back to India, I tried, but I did not really work on it. It doesn't matter what I have done. So you join, crossroads. You come to several crossroads. I'm not talking about scope and what is my potential, job potential, etc. I'm not talking about those things. What are utmost priority in your life? While I'm completing my PhD, I had a family tragedy. My older brother died in an accident, and that too a year after my father retired. So my father asked me, if you have any plans of settling down in Canada or US, please stop. I lost my eldest son, and you are the only son, and I want you to be in India. I returned. I didn't look at what are my opportunities. I didn't, what I would do be gaining or losing. That's not important. At that time, my family needs me, so I'm back. Then subsequently, I need to do something, what job I can get into. So obviously, after PhD, people look into teaching. And after unsuccessful trials to get into Andhra University or Kakatiya University, I got a breakthrough and found a job in UDCT, which is also called ICT now. It's a very prestigious institute. And I was appointed as reader in pharmacology and physiology in 1984. So I moved to Bombay. And that's where my career started. Between my PhD and this first job, there were 8 months. 8 months I didn't do anything. 8 months of uncertainty. But I didn't lose faith in what my capability or what my knowledge is. But when I started UDCT, and then it's my first lecture tomorrow, I became very nervous. And the thoughts that occurred in my mind are as follows. The students are expecting a new teacher in pharmacology, a vacancy that filled after 7 months or 8 months. So for 7, 8 months, they didn't have a teacher. Now they are expecting a teacher who it was announced that he's a PhD from University of British Columbia. So I'm a PhD in pharmacology. Not too many people are PhDs in pharmacology around. But how do I convince the students that I have knowledge enough uh, that a PhD should possess? Would I be able to satisfy the student? Would I be able to explain him what he wants to know? All these thoughts cluttered my mind, and that made me very nervous. On one side, I know that I have almost 10 years of university education. And then I have given several seminars. I spoke on several international platforms. I written papers. I presented, work at different conferences. But that's different from coming in close connection with the student and developing a bond between the student. And this bond, makes the student think that, hey, here is a guy who can teach me and from whom I can learn something. So this is how to create that. So I worked very hard. I asked myself several questions. If I'm explaining this way and if the student raises a question, so I became the student and started asking myself the question, adrenaline increases heart rate. Well, suppose if the student asks me the question, how adrenaline increases the heart rate, do I have the answer? In my earlier understanding of pharmacology, the teachers would tell you adrenaline increases the heart rate, force of contraction. That's it. You have to remember that. It's positive inotropic, meant by increased force of contraction. positive chronotropic. Why it's called inotropic? Why it is called chronotropic? Nobody would answer that. But I wanted to understand that such that I can tell the student exactly this is the reason why it is this way. What is the difference between a positive inotropic agent and a cardiotonic agent? You know, do all positive inotropic agents are cardiotonic? These are the questions that come in my mind. So I prepare my lecture in such a way that I walk into the class and get into a trance and start explaining to the students. And in UDCT, I think I must definitely say that the Bombay students are highly, highly intelligent, but at the same time, they would like to learn. The zeal to learn from the student, from the teacher is very high. I am not saying this to please somebody or to displease somebody, but this is my life experience. I taught for 5 years in Bombay. I taught for 4 years in Warangal. I taught at several other places. But the best of my students who made me give them the best out of me are Bombay students. By showing their interest, by asking questions, by their simple or sheer intensity of learning, you have to meet that intensity. So by delivering it. And for 5 years in UDCT, I was teaching and I didn't go out anywhere. I didn't talk to anybody. I was teaching. I was trying to set up my research. I have my master students. I was guiding them. And suddenly one day I met somebody on the road and then in a function, and that person from industry asked me a question. Who are you? I said, I'm so and so at UDCT. Oh, Dr. Rao, hi, I'm so pleased to meet you. I've been trying to meet you. Then I said, who are you? I don't know you. Yeah, but we know you because your students work with us. And then we know what those people are. And then when I asked, everyone has a great, word to say. I was taught by my professor, Dr. Rao. So we are, so I realized that I don't have to publicize myself. If I'm doing, if I'm adding value, students are my ambassadors. And then they told people that we learned this from this guy. And so the industry people wanted to know who is that guy we want to see. You know, and such things do not happen everywhere. You know. So without I realizing my scope is getting made because I have applied myself and I struggle to deliver. I have set up my yardsticks and say that I have to deliver to this yardstick. And every day after a lecture, my satisfactory index, sometimes I feel so unsatisfied that I haven't reached my yardstick yet. So I'll, sit quietly in my office and say that what went wrong in today's lecture. It's not told by the student that your lecture wasn't good. I haven't met my own yardstick. So the day I met my yardstick, I can see that expression on students' faces, and then that day I'm elated. It is exactly like a feeling like if India lost the match, then you come home and as if something you lost, it's not because you have done badly, but you. And suppose if India has won a world test, a tournament or something like that in T20 or one day, if then you are elated, you know, sense of you have achieved something when the team did good. This type of feeling. Then from there, I moved to Bombay College of Pharmacy as a professor. And shortly after that, I got a call from Hext Research Center saying they're inviting me to come and give a talk there. I didn't know why. I said, okay, let me go and give a talk. So in the Hext Research Center, I gave a talk, and immediately after the talk, they're talking about when am I available to join as a group leader. I said, I haven't even applied for a position here. But they said, no, we are in search of good candidates, and our head of the department, who is associated with you on several this thing, has a very strong recommendation that we should try and attract you into industry. That's when I started to bargain, and I said that no, I would only join if you give me a manager's position, and if you don't give me a manager's position, I'm not interested, because I'm a professor in Bombay College of Pharmacy, and then the Bombay College of Pharmacy wants me to be the principal. So they're willing to offer me the manager's position, and then I didn't blink. I moved out of Bombay College of Pharmacy and went to Hext as a principal research scientist, a group leader, come manager, because most of the group leaders join as assistant managers. Then Bombay College of Pharmacy, I thought the management of Bombay College of Pharmacy would be unhappy with this decision, but they said, oh, this is fine, you can go there because we can't stop you. If you're very good, the industry would take you. But the principal at that time, he said that I will sign your resignation, I will accept your resignation letter only if you write on your resignation that you are available to teach pharmacology as a visiting professor at this college. And I wrote that on my resignation letter. I am willing to be a visiting professor here. In 1990, I left Bombay College of Pharmacy. In 1989, I joined Bombay College of Pharmacy. Exactly 1 year later, I left Bombay College of Pharmacy. But 1990 till 2002, till I moved out of Bombay, I was a visiting professor. On every Saturday morning, 8:30, I was lecturing M.Pharm students. Every Saturday for 12 years in a row. Every M.Pharm student during that time knows that Saturday morning, 8:15, 8:30 is Dr. Rao's lecture for 2 hours. He finished at 10:15. I loved teaching and I loved those students. And I think those people are my ambassadors. Whatever I gained in my profession, the recognition, the seriousness, my contributions are all through the good words of my students. Many people regarded me as mentor. I don't know whether I mentored them or not. Only thing I know is that if I want to help you, I go all out to help you. And if you rely on me, I am dependable. So as a professional, you have to have two characteristics. One, you are dependable and people can rely on you for your knowledge, for your support. You don't have to learn everything. We always think that, oh, he's a walking library. Please don't get into that mode. Nobody can be a walking library. You are knowledgeable enough to recognize what you know and what you do not know. If you do not know something upfront, if you say that, hey, wait a minute, I'm not an expert in that area, I do not know anything, what I can do is that I can look up and come back to you. If I understand something, I can tell you. That honesty goes out miles, rather than you try to tell them, that you have some, oh, I thought you asked for this. No, I know this, or something like that. You just try to talk yourself out of that. It's not necessary. If you're a true professional, each professional knows that we know something and we don't know something else. And what we do not know, we need another expert to come and join. Hello? I suddenly got an echo. I heard somebody.
Yeah, somebody like unmuted accidentally.
Okay,
Yeah, we are able to
that's
hear.
okay. That's okay. No problem. So that's absolutely essential. There are so many things which I don't know, and then I very clearly indicate I don't know that. Understanding the importance of a particular subject, you don't have to know that subject to understand the importance. I know that pharmacy practice is very important because in India we do not have what is necessary in pharmacy practice to provide healthcare to patients. We claim that we produce vaccines, we claim that we produce pharmaceuticals, and we are a pharmacy of the world. We we export our medicines and vaccines to the entire world, but we do not have a system where we can deliver that medicine or the vaccine under good pharmaceutical care and advice to patients. So we cannot really impact the outcome. We have the tremendous industry, but the industry cannot impact the outcome in patients because we don't have that system in place. You know, medication therapy and management. We don't have that. We don't have drug counseling. We don't counsel polypharmacy. We don't counsel, prescriptions and say that, tell the physician that this is not supposed to be prescribed. We don't have that system. And Karthik, Rakam and other people are struggling to implement that by making people understand, by making real professionals out of pharmacy practice. And not one single person cannot do that. All of you have to join together, and you have to play a role in making pharmacy practice in India at on par with what is done in the developed countries. We can't expect a pharmacy council of India or a drug controller general or ministry of health to set it up that we walk in. No, we have to be involved in doing that. Why I'm saying that is the next step in my professional career, what I'm going to talk to you is about is like that. While I was doing research in Herbst and subsequently in Nicholas Piramal, and then I worked on 3 different companies. Nectar Therapeutics is my significant last inning, where I involved in establishing a 80,000 square feet of state-of-the-art research facility. I was also contributing to academics, and while working in Bombay College of Pharmacy, my professional career started, my role in Indian Pharmaceutical Association. I was offered to help the editor of Indian Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences as an assistant editor to help him set up the journal, or run the journal, way back in 1993, 94. There is a little story behind this. I published while completing my PhD, I published my papers in some 3 or 4 top journals, like, American Society of American Journal of Pharmacology and Toxicology, Pharmacology and Experimental Therapeutics, things are slipping my mind, JPET, American Journal of Physiology, Cardiovascular Section. These are top journals. Canadian Journal of Pharmacology and Physiology, Circulation. These are some of the journals in which I published. And when I came to UDCT and I started my teaching, I come across a small paperback, flimsy journal. I mean, like a book like this, something. I don't know. You can see something like this, and that is the name says Indian Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences. I said, oh, Indian Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences. And I flipped through the journal and I suddenly saw that on one page, the figure is aligned in one direction, and in the next page, the table is aligned in a different direction that you have to rotate the journal to look at it. I very derogatorily commented to my colleague who also did his PhD and postdoc in University of the Pacific in Stockton and teaching at UDCT, the excellent medicinal chemist, saying that, hey, look at this journal, you don't even want to touch this journal. I made such nasty comment, on that journal. And 3-4 years later, I was asked, can I join and then do as assistant editor for the journal? I was surprised because that time the editor was Dr. C.L. Kaul. Chimanlal Kaul, who was head of Boots Research, he got the position of the founder director of NIPER. So from Bombay, he's moving to Chandigarh. At that time, he saw me in Bombay College of Pharmacy, and he knows me. He knows me through. He was interviewing me, and he interviewed me for Bombay College of Pharmacy as a professor position, and then also my students worked with him, and he was also on, as an examiner panel on some of my thesis. So his comment was, hey, Rao, you are in academics as well as in industry, and you have the understanding and capability to edit the journal. So would you help me to edit the journal? I was taken by those two compliments and I said, oh my God, this man has given me a compliment. So I must say yes. And I said yes. And then I suddenly realized that I have made a comment on this journal and today I am going to be an editor. So I have to change, I have to work at it. And the application of I wanted to do something for that journal way back in 94, I worked for 26 years as an editor. And after that, as a ghost editor, because I was no longer editor when I became president of Indian Pharmaceutical Sciences, which I gone through the journal and I made it online, with an impact factor and with a very attractive publishing, and it published something like 150, 160 pages regularly, bi-monthly. And the penance for making that stupid statement of nobody would like to see this journal, the penance I paid by applying myself to ensure that the journal will be regarded as one of the, India's top pharmaceutical sciences journal. Sometimes you make a comment, and then if you are conscious enough, you should contribute your lifetime to change it. Only then people would realize. At one particular time, I was known as the editor. I was introduced in colleges on various platforms, not as a pharmacologist, not as a vice president in the industry. He said, I was introduced on various platforms. Dr. Rao Vadlamudi is coming. He is nobody other than our editor, Indian Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences. So what is the scope you're talking about? I worked towards it and I made the scope. I made the scope that I am, recognized by others, not because of my personality, it is because of my activity. My actions speak for myself, and that actions are Indian Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences. And this is coming through because of your passion. You develop a passion for that. And the passion would take you anywhere. The other aspect that I want to talk to you about is destiny, connecting the dots. And I do not know whether you really believe in destiny or you really believe in connecting the dots. But let me tell you, if you are just young and aspiring, and then you graduate and you say that there's no job, so that there's the profession, there's nobody doing anything, we already wasted our time, we did Pharm D and we don't have a job. This is not passionate development. Your passion has take you, and your destiny would help you to reach your objectives, reach your highest position in your life. But you have to have those those goals, those ambitions set in your mind, and nothing will come to you on a platter. Okay. If I say that editorship came to me on a platter, I am the right man at the right place, and somebody has asked me, why don't you take it up? That saying yes has led me to 26 years of hard work, day and night. I even used to go abroad where my children are living, and then I take my computer and I sit in one corner, and then most of the time I'm editing papers. Once my grandson commented, "Oh, I know when grandfather comes, he will sit on that corner and he will plug his computer and start working on it." 5-year-old grandson making a comment like that. So finally, I called it off. Last year, I said I have done enough, so I'm not getting associated with any longer. Such that when I go abroad, I can play with my grandchildren. Incidentally, my son lives in Vancouver at the very edge of University of British Columbia. So whenever I go there, I go to my university. I walk the paths, and I except entering the faculty, because we're not allowed to enter the faculty in the pandemic. Nobody is allowed to enter any building. So the destiny I'm talking about, connecting dots. It's an interesting story. I think it will make um, nice to hear. At the same time, um, you will see what's destiny means. In 1977, just before going abroad, to I attended an Indian Pharmaceutical Congress in Bombay College of Pharmacy. There are several first times there. That conference was held by Indian Pharmaceutical Association in Bombay College of Pharmacy, jointly with Commonwealth Pharmacists Association. So it is a joint congress of Commonwealth Pharmacists Association and Indian Pharmaceutical Association in Bombay College of Pharmacy in Bombay. And one MPharm student who has completed his master's in pharmaceutical sciences and is registered for his PhD uh, in pharmaceutical chemistry in Andhra University, um, attended that congress, without knowing anything. First time going to Bombay, so I'm excited. I did not even hear Bombay College of Pharmacy name before. So first time going to Bombay College of Pharmacy, a pharmacy department other than Andhra University Pharmacy Department where I was. I haven't visited another pharmacy department until that day. So Bombay College of Pharmacy. That's in fact is my second IPC. The first IPC I attended during my student days was in Delhi, but then the inauguration was in what you call Pragati Bhavan or Vijnan Bhavan. Entering that itself is like a nightmare. And Delhi was 2 degrees at that time, and I couldn't bear that cold. So one day I attended, and next day I sat in the house, my aunt's house, and then played with my cousins rather than going there. Then it is Indian Pharmaceutical Association, Indian Pharmaceutical Congress. I have not heard about Indian Pharmaceutical Association. I was not a member of Indian Pharmaceutical Association at that time. And Commonwealth Pharmacists Association, I have no clue what it was. And there I was standing there in Bombay College of Pharmacy, attending IPC, Indian Pharmaceutical Association, Commonwealth Pharmacists Association. I have no clue on that day that one day I'll be president of Indian Pharmaceutical Association, director of Bombay College of Pharmacy, president of Commonwealth Pharmacists Association, and I will organize my own Indian Pharmaceutical Congress all by myself in Visakhapatnam. It just struck me, so many firsts there. First time in Bombay, my first job in Bombay. Bombay College of Pharmacy, I joined as a professor there, and then I became first director. And Indian Pharmaceutical Association, and I headed the association for 4 years. Commonwealth Pharmacists Association, I'm still heading the association. If you can really see the dots that are getting connected, the destiny, unknowingly I work towards it. Unknowingly I work towards it. How I became Commonwealth Pharmacists Association president? Indian Pharmaceutical Association is a member and has a counselor. And when I became president of Indian Pharmaceutical Association, Professor Suresh, who is the former PCI president, called me and said, "Hey Rao, I have been the counselor for Commonwealth Pharmacists Association for a long time, and then why don't you take it up because you are now head of Indian Pharmaceutical Association?" I said, "Okay." So I put my name and said, sent to Commonwealth Pharmacists Association. Professor Suresh stepping down as a counselor, so I am taking it up as a counselor. Then among the counselors, a regional representative is elected, and the region for the countries are Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and India. These are the 5 countries in this Central Asia region. And so uh, the person, Sri Lankan representative, she called me, Chinta, a very good friend of mine. "Hey, Rao, you are a counselor now. Why don't you become the regional representative? So just put your nomination. I support you." So I became regional representative. Then there are 5 regions, and there are among the 5 regional representatives, a vice president is chosen because somebody has resigned. They said, "Is there a regional representative who wished to be a vice president?" I said, "Yes." I became vice president of Commonwealth Pharmacists Association. And then I was organizing Indian Pharmaceutical Congress. I invited the president and vice president to participate in Indian Pharmaceutical Congress in 2016 in Visakhapatnam. They came. And they were impressed by the Indian Pharmaceutical Congress that we organized, 10,000 people. And then they said, so the vice president, while going, talked to the president and said, look at the way these guys are organizing in our organization. So you are looking at our future president. If you want, we can make Rao the president. So the president, Indian Pharmaceutical Association, nominated me for vice president position again. I said, let me be vice president because my vice president position was because I want to be, I became. But now let me get elected. So Indian Pharmaceutical Indian Pharmaceutical Association nominated me as the vice president. So outgoing president Raymond Anderson of Commonwealth Pharmacists Association called me and said, "Hey Rao, do you mind if I propose your name for presidentship?" I said, "I don't mind, but I don't know anybody to become president. No. You have sufficient enough friends among the association, so I'll nominate." And I got elected. That's destiny. I didn't even try. And re-elected again, 2 years. What I'm trying to say is, if you can see these dots and then connect them, and then work towards it, unknowingly you become that. In pharmaceutical industry also, at a particular level, if you are working towards an objective, a goal, and people talk about you, and then automatically somebody would offer you a job. Why don't you come and join our company? They ask you because they know you and they know your reputation and they know from your work ethics, which others talk about. You don't have to talk about any one of those things. Let me tell you, in my last 4 jobs, I haven't applied for any job. They called me and said, "Would you like to be considered for this position?" If we say yes, then send us our CV. And that's what your professionalism, your attitude, your dependability, and your attention for detail, your personality, the way you talk to people, the way you communicate, the care you express for others, all those things collectively will work for you along with your knowledge. This is what I've learned. All the awards, whatever I have received, is through that only. There are many other awards where they will send you a mail saying that would you apply for this award, so you apply for the award, and they say you have to pay 20,000 and you pay, and then you receive that award and you say that I'm in this particular award. That category awards, no, these are none of the awards that you read, none of them are those. Most of them are Indian Pharmaceutical Association awards because I contributed to that association for more than 25, 26 years or even longer. Today, I am very proud being a pharmacist. My knowledge, my understanding, my capabilities are all because of pharmaceutical sciences and pharmacy practice. I understand the importance of pharmacy practice, although I haven't been a part of that. But drug discovery research, you contribute to quality medicines, and you also contribute to quality pharmaceutical care through quality medicines. And collectively, we impact patient health and we impact patient outcomes, and we make patients feel much better than anybody else. And we should be proud of our profession, and we should contribute to our profession, you know. And this is what I have learned, and this is my journey. And if there are some other small issues here and there I might have forgotten, but essentially this is the story of me. I thank you
Very nice.
all listening patiently to me, and I thank Karthik for giving me this opportunity to talk about that. Thank you very much.
Sir, we never realized that it's already an hour. So that is how captivating it was. And if I can tell it informally, it was like listening to our grandparents talk about their journey, wisdom written all over it. So
So
before we,
you are saying that I look like an old man, grandpa. Yes, I have 7 grandchildren, so I don't mind. Karthik, I can be your grandfather.
yes, and so we'll take a feedback, sir, before we take some questions. I'm really excited to see if what students have picked out of all this talk. So can
Sure.
anybody unmute and share your thoughts? So how was it listening to Dr. Rao sir's journey? What did you grasp?
Good afternoon, sir. This is Samiksha. Listening to this talk was like I was listening to some, as if it was going on. The journey was so beautiful, and I really understood that destiny is very important, and it just makes up when we have to get it through. Like when I just remember about Avenida when it was just started the first seminar. We didn't wanted to go to that seminar, but then we were like, it's okay, we'll try. And when once we went there, that was the first time we went there, and that moment and this moment, I think that is a small piece of journey of me, but I also feel that destiny is really a big part of your life, and it makes you there if you are mean to be there. Thank you so much, sir. It was really interesting to know that you have to just work hard and you will get through that way, and you will through your aims.
So, so thanks, Samiksha. So any more? One more, I think. So actually, if they give me, I can talk for half an hour, sir, telling what I learned from this talk. But I want to give that opportunity to students. So any one more we will take, and then we will take questions.
Hello, sir. This is Sai Sri. Sir, firstly, I want to say thank you, sir, for sharing your story with us. We generally learn important lessons in our life through experiences and struggles, but I feel really fortunate to learn these important lessons of personality from personalities like you without having to face these struggles actually. And every point you mentioned has some moral value behind it. Like every sentence you said, for example, you said there should be zeal to start something new for entrepreneurs, and every experience of yours. So for example, you said you have 8 months of uncertainty, yet you didn't lose faith, and I feel these are the most touching words, sir, because uh, uncertainty uncertainties are something I feel which test our strength in faith, and learning from you that not to lose faith and there will be success in the future is something that is very valuable for me, sir. Thank you so much.
I'll tell you something. Ambiguity management, uncertainty management is a training that many of the top managers of companies undergo, because when everything is going well, performing, or when performing under uncertainties, like performing during pandemic or something, these are really, really highly appreciated and highly valuable skills. So your characteristics, your personality, and you as a person would come through during adversity, not when everything is going great. You know, remember that.
So thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
So Alvin, you can stop the stream and
I have
take.
one more point. I just have to add, saying that,
Yes, yes, sir. So we will continue, sir, for
So
next half an hour.
just one more, because this is also important at this particular point, because I have said mm, the words that I was asked to do pharmacy by my father, who was a professor in pharmacy. So that has set up the life. But the same thing repeated in my life, because my daughter, she during her 10th and intermediate, she wanted to really do fine arts, and she was painting, and she made real beautiful uh, you know paintings, and she wanted to study fine arts. But when she was in 12th, some of the students, they were talking to each other, like my daughter's classmates, and they said, hey, to make a career out of fine arts is very difficult. Do you think you really want to go to fine arts? Then she came to me and said, if I don't want to go to fine arts in the last minute, I want to drop out of fine arts, what is my alternative? What would you suggest? I told her pharmacy, for only one simple reason, not that she likes it or not. That's not the point. If she takes it till the last minute and she says, I don't want to do um, fine arts, now I want to join a course, and the entrance examinations, etc., she may not be ready to do all that, then where I can put her is in pharmacy, because I have connections with most of the pharmacy institutes. So out of my own, um, you know, security, comfort zone, I would say my comfort zone is in pharmacy institution. So I asked her to do pharmacy, and she did, and she completed a PhD from University of Stockton, in Pacific in Stockton, California. I have mentioned that university's name earlier also, regarding a colleague of mine. She went to the same university, and she's now working in New Jersey in pharma industry. So I went into pharmacy because my father told, and my daughter went into there because my father told. And my daughter-in-law, who is a public health graduate, she wanted to do a PhD in health economics, and she tried in public health faculties, and she didn't get. And finally, she got in Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences in University of British Columbia, the same alma mater where I did my PhD. She joined there under pharmacoepidemiology, and just last year she completed her PhD in health economics in pharmaceutical Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences. So we all make happily a bunch of pharmacy guys, people together. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Alvin, did you stop stream? Hello. Sir, I'm asking to